This little squirrel right here, not you, you're perfect, is a wanted criminal. A criminal, I tell ya. That's right, this little cutie you see before you is a menace to society. A fiend. A terror. Side note, my grammar program insists that I don't call Skwovet a fiend. It keeps wanting to autocorrect it to a friend. Like, assigned friend shape at birth, I guess. No. It is a fiend. A terror, or at least, it's based on one. Skwovet is based on the eastern Grey Squirrel, or Skiritus carolinensis, probably. And its evolution, Greedent, is based on the red squirrel, S. vulgaris? S. vulgaris. Now, most Pokemon lines are based on more than one species of whatever animal they're pulling most of their inspiration from, changing as they evolve. So what's so fiendish about it this time? Well, remember Galar, the region that they belong to? It's based on Great Britain, and the eastern Grey Squirrel, the one Skwovet is based on, is an incredibly invasive species there. The Grey Squirrel is smarter and bigger and just better all around when compared to the poor native red squirrels, which just can't compete, since before the Grey Squirrel came along, they had no squirrely competition, except in cutitude. Red squirrels got the Grey Squirrels beat there, no problem. Look at that thing. It's so cute. I almost want to just crush it. Didn't like me saying that. This is actually mirrored in the fact that though Greedent is based on the red squirrel, the smaller of the two, it is also the less intelligent of the two. So they kind of flipped the script on the size, but kept it the same everywhere else. Squirrel question fun fact time! Why do red squirrels even have those adorable ear tufts? Well, the answer is threefold. 1. Thermoregulation to protect their ear tips from ear-based frostbite. Reason 2 is for identification and communication. They help them recognize each other. It's like a fingerprint almost. And reason 3, it's to make them all the more fashionable while wearing their Raycon everyday earbuds, this video's sponsor. Their intelligently designed gel tips fit seamlessly into the human ear, big or small, making them snug enough not to fall out, but comfy enough to not hurt after hours. And hours they last. 8 of them, or even 32 with the help of the included charging case. But what if a squirrel steals your Raycons and hides it in a wet tree? Well, no worries, because they are built to withstand accidental drops into pools, puddles, the rain, and even washing machines. And thanks to their awareness mode, they are fully aware of how you've mistreated them. And that's not what that means. It means they can let sounds through so that you are aware of your surroundings, as they also have noise isolation, blocking out background noise to help you focus. The dang squirrels outside won't stop barking. All this and more at only half the cost of other premium audio brands, and it gets even better with my link down below, buyraycon.com/Lockstin, where you can get an extra 15% off. Check them out. Skwovet eats berries non-stop, a habit that has made it more resilient than it looks. It'll show up on farms, searching for yet more berries. Meanwhile, Greedent stashes berries in its tail, so many berries that they fall out constantly. But this Pokemon is a bit slow-witted, so it doesn't really notice the loss. What a dummy! A good strategy would be for mini Skwovet to follow a large Greedent around and just stealing its cherries, I mean berries. It's berries from its tail. Grey squirrels outnumber red squirrels in the UK by about 200 to 1, according to scientists' best estimates, which is bonkers and is so sad considering not only that the grey squirrels are just out-competing the reds, but also killing them, albeit not entirely purposefully. See, the grey squirrel brought over squirrel pox, which causes ulcers and scabs and a painful death in our poor little fluffy friends. It's just like when old world people brought their old world diseases they had mostly gained resistance from to the new world. Most of them died. Same with these squirrels, though the other way around. So we're even now, right? The Grey Squirrels brought their North American diseases to Europe, dealing terrible damage to the red squirrel population. But thankfully, the red squirrels who survived it have been able to pass their natural immunities to their offspring, so they don't have to worry about it as much anymore. And besides, the Brits are helping them out too. How? North American Genocide. Squirrel Edition. That's right, this guy is on the UK's most wanted list. Conservation biologists such as Craig Shuttleworth, who's very worth shuttling, see what they did there? English last names are amazing. Have been going around and,
Fatality. Sorry, bro.
That. And it's been really successful. As of 2015, the Welsh Isle of Anglesey? Well, it's been declared 100% Grey Squirrel free, due in no small part to Shuttleworth's bloody campaign that he's led against the little buggers for the last 2 decades. "I don't like doing this, but they don't belong here," he says, typical British words. But red squirrel conservation is blossoming because we got proof that we can eradicate grey squirrels from the landscape. And actually, the red squirrels and their human defenders have another extremely unlikely ally: the pine martens that have always been the red squirrel's biggest natural predator in the UK. According to this article from science.org, researchers collected pine marten feces and hair samples from areas with and without grey squirrels. Finding places where the two species overlapped was so difficult that the researchers had a specially trained scent dog to track down pine marten's scat. Ew. In grey squirrel populated areas where pine martens were plentiful, red squirrels thrived alongside their natural predator. The feces revealed that not only had pine martens added grey squirrels to their diet, but they were feasting on the invasive species 8 times more often than on the red squirrels. Researchers believe that this is because red squirrels have been around the martens for much longer, and so they have the bodies and the knowledge of how to get away from them much more so than the grey squirrels, which are also bigger, so not able to just slip away quite as easily. Fun fact! Or rather, sad fact. Well, maybe a sad fact. But question, how did the grey squirrels get to the island nation? Did they stow away on ships like how rats got all over the world? No, it's worse than that. Like most of our problems these days, it's all because of a single rich dude. A wealthy silk manufacturer who lived in Cheshire thought that they were so cute that he decided to bring a pair over and release them on his estate. His friends, including the 11th Duke of Bedform, loved his squirrels and decided to get his own. 10 of them even, and released them in his gardens just outside London. And they both continued gifting more and more of the squirrel's offspring to other rich friends. And even every single grey squirrel inhabiting Ireland are descended from just 6 pairs that the aforementioned Duke had given as a wedding present to an Irish friend of his in 1911, who of course released them to just wander his castle, and of course went on to have a bunch of crazy squirrel snoo. Just think of the incest. Yeah, you're a heathen. So yeah, we owe the endangered status of red squirrels in the UK to a bunch of dumb aristocrats. Anyway, this is why Greedents are rarer in the wild than Skwovet. Even in Pokémon, the Skwovets outnumber them, and are smarter. What's this? A last-minute segue into etymology? Okay, Greedent's name is very fun. It's a greedy rodent, first of all, but also dent can refer to dentistry. Dental, because it's got those big squirrel teeth. And Skwovet is fun too, a squirrel that covets. It needs all the berries. And spelled the way that it is, it almost forces you to say it with a bit of a British accent. Squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squovet.
Squirrel.
Squovel.
Squirrel.
Squovet.
Squirrel.
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 Squovet.
Squirrel. 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 Squirrel.
Squirrels are a bit greedy, aren't they? Always storing away more nuts and seeds than they would ever have the hope of eating. And actually, they do often forget where they even hid and buried all of their nut stashes, which helps trees and plants grow. They are a super important part of the ecosystem. But still, knowing that squirrels eat food to their fill, and then stuff their cheeks to the brim with more after that, this of course has led to the term squirreling away, which means to store something in a safe or secret place, especially so that it can be kept for future use. Though, these days, most often the term is used to refer to greedy people with way more money than they could ever hope to spend. Think Scrooge McDuck. He's always squirreling his money away, as do all billionaires. And since this whole squirrely issue started because of a rich guy, it kind of just does pull all of the inspirations for these Pokemon together nicely, doesn't it? It covets. It's greedy. Squirrels are in the UK, and they're having this whole big issue because of rich dude. I think it's pretty neat. But what do you think? Do you like Greedent's dopey look? Do you think Skwovets should all be stabbed and skewered? I sure do. Let me know your thoughts below, and never stop using your noggin.